Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Happy holidays. Today is December 6th. We'll be going over today the real estate market statistics for the greater Phoenix metropolitan housing market. And for the last 2 weeks, we'll also include the month end for November 2021. Let's get right into the stats. 34 days closed on market this past week, a 0.99 month supply, averaging about 101% absorption rate. We're sitting at 725,000 for the average list price this past week, and 521,000 for the average sale price again this past week. List price to sale price retention is hovering right about at 100%. We'll talk about that in just a couple of minutes. Looking at active inventory across the board, 7,640 listings were available, single family residential, and that's a 2.1% increase over last week. Pending is sitting at 4,606, and closed units a little early in the month, obviously, only being the 6th to really try to extrapolate what's going to take place, but we are initially just running a little behind last year. New listings sitting at 1,883. That's actually a really good number, even though it's not above 2,000, not above 2,400. We'll explain why in just a second. Days on market for closed is sitting at 34 days. Looking at our price ranges of the under $500,000 market is pretty stable at 56%, running on average 44 days on market. You can see each individual price range, the units, the days on market, and what percentage of the entire MLS inventory, active inventory, that segment represents. Taking a look at the $500 to $1 million price range, we're sitting at 58 days on market, and that represents about 30% of the entire MLS inventory. The final 1 million and up market is representing about 11.5% of the market and is running at about 105 days approximate on market. So let's take a look at the spreadsheet. And for those of you who are new, let's just go through real quick how to read this. We have the goldenrod copy, or the very middle column is 2019 SW. That's the same week in 2019. So you have something to compare a prior COVID number to. And then 2020 SW to the left of that represents the same week in 2020, also identified in a salmon color. To the left of that, we have two additional columns, one representing this past week and the week prior, and way over the right we have two blue columns, which we'll talk about in the latter part of the presentation, which is going to be our November 2021 numbers and also the prior month. So we took 1,883 new listings this past week. That was about a 40% increase over the 1,337 the week before. If you take slide your eyes to the right, which is what I want you to continue to do, is to compare back and forth. 1,671 is how many properties we took last year, and in 2019 we took 1,545. So 1,883 is higher than both those numbers. It's a good, strong number for this particular season. Looking at the active inventory, that raised the average active inventory to 7,640 units. We had 7,481 last year, but look at this unique thing. Last year, in 2020, we had 4,956 properties. We have significantly 54% more properties available this week than we had last year. 2 years ago, of course, prior to COVID, we were sitting at about 13,753. That was also prior to the influx of the predominantly California buyers that were coming in, which obviously increased the number of people that were in the marketplace looking for homes. Part of the reason why the inventory declined so quickly over a short period of time, and we just haven't been able to replace that inventory. However, we have been selling more inventory, and as a result, it is keeping up with the demand. Looking at active 7640s where we're at, there were 514 of those were located in the coming soon section of the MLS. They weren't available for full active inventory viewing. The 6,319 properties are single family detached. 687 properties represent new home construction, new home builds, move-in ready, and also sometimes the more speculative information about a property to be built. And of course, our 7,614 represented the non-distressed inventory. And if you look to the left, way over the left, you can see in the rule of thumb column that is 99.7% of the entire inventory, which is why this section of the inventory represents that the distressed properties, excuse me. And of course, just in an example, if you slide your eyes way over to 2019 in the middle of the columns, you'll see that we had 63 short sales, 89 lender owned, and 8 HUD homes in the marketplace during 2019, prior to COVID. A very robust year, increases in sales prices, increases in unit counts. But yet you take a look to the just immediate left, and you'll see that only 8 were last year, 27 lender owned last year, and 9 HUD homes last year. So it makes sense that if you're looking at today's numbers, they're significantly less than they were in 2019, and therefore we really are not worrying or looking for any or anticipating any additional distressed properties entering the marketplace. Looking at pending, we're sitting at 4,604, 5,140 last week. Sliding your eyes to the right, we're at 5,900 people in the ML that were engaged with a willing price that the seller would sell for and the buyer would pay in escrow, and 4,254 in 2019. So this is a really strong number. It's right in between those two numbers. It's not too many for the holiday season period, but at the same token, we're still significantly above the production or the people in escrow that we had in 2019. Looking at our closed inventory, it's like I said, it's a little early in the month, but at this particular point, looking back, we're at 1250 today. We were at 1850 last year, and again 1542, or excuse me, 1855 in 2019. There's always a little bit of a discrepancy number between the 2021 numbers, 2020 numbers in here, and last year's numbers, just for comparison purposes. As the final numbers are washed through the system, they always end up being just a little bit different than what they were anticipated being at the time of the end of the month. And again, no short sale activity, 0.2%, very, very little properties actually closing in that distressed market. Month supply, 0.99, that's a good sign. It's a little more month supply than we had last week. And look, it was 0.8 months supply in 2020, so we're above our 2020 levels. That's just a good, positive, comforting sign, both for buyers, sellers, and realtors alike. Looking at the average sale prices, we're sitting at 521 this week. Last week we were at 483. Last year we were at 466. 2 years ago, 423. We'll see how last month panned out in the month before. But again, just to let you know, these are point-in-time numbers based on the average sales that took place in the last week. And so as a result, this is not saying that the average prices have gone up 20% or down 20% in any one market, in any 1 month cycle. And of course, the last number that we look at is our list price to sale price retention. What was the list price at the time the seller accepted the offer and we went into escrow? And what is the difference between those two numbers? And way over to the left, you'll see in the rule of thumb, 97.8 is the rule of thumb number, about a 2.2 negotiation. I can tell you I've been recording these numbers all the way back since 1996, and I can tell you it's been averaging in the greater Phoenix metro about 2.2%. So when it goes up and is shorter than 2.2, we're already seeing pressure being placed on the seller, and so as a result, they're holding their prices higher. When we're at 100%, which is where we've been probably for the last year, what we've been seeing is the sellers are actually not providing any discounts in the price. It doesn't necessarily mean that there aren't concessions, but in this particular market, being a multiple offer market, many of the buyers are foregoing, putting real strong negotiations on the seller at this particular point. To them, it's more important to have the property and close on it than it is to negotiate out the price. Over time, that's a good remedy if you're planning on living in the home for more than 8 years or so. Let's take a look exactly at how we finished the month of November 2021. We took 8,679 new listings in comparison to 8,360 the year before. Our actual inventory, now the inventory levels that we show on the right-hand side also include contingency sales, under contract, accepting backup offers, and pending. I take those out in the numbers to the left because consumers and realtors don't like to get people excited all about a property that they're never going to have. And even in comparison, intrinsic value, functional obsolescence wise, we don't want consumers, we don't want even ourselves to get excited about a product that we can't have and then use that to compare against every other home that's in the marketplace that is available for that similar price. So again, great position at this particular point in time. Pending, this is when we talk about, these are the actual contracts that are in escrow. And so the number of pending just means we've had a willing buyer and a willing seller agree on a price and put a property into escrow. This is a good sign because it tells us if you want a temperature of the marketplace. When these numbers are high, there's more people, more demand. When these numbers are lower, there's fewer people, and usually gives us a chance to recover inventory. 6367 is a strong number. Last year we were at 8,800 people in escrow during the month of November. Here at 6,300, that's 2,500 fewer properties, down about 27%. And of course, if you slide your eyes to the right, you can see we're at 7,085 last month. So there definitely is, and if we could go back, which we can, but just not on this slide, to go back to even the mid-year June, that is when we started seeing a cooling off in the marketplace. So it's been going on right now for almost 5 months. So these numbers are confirming that as well. Looking at closed units, we closed 8,971 units last month in comparison to 9,176 in 2020. That's down 2.2%, and again, month over month. Last month we closed 8,789, and look at the number even farther to the right of that. There were 10,000 properties in 2020 that were sold in the month of October. So looking at this, you can see it's about a 2% decline in yellow right now. For this month, it was an 8.5% decline back then. So it's a good thing to see we're not having a significant decline, which shouldn't put anybody's concerns that there are not enough buyers in the marketplace at this particular moment. It's a good, steady business. Also, if you look at the non-distressed, to confirm once again, whether you're looking your eyes over the left at that 0.2% or over here with relatively no gain, what you're seeing is that there's, again, we're not seeing any additional foreclosures, and there's no intention or anticipation that we will. We finished at 1.17 months supply. That's strong. Over a month's supply. This is what we needed. We need to be somewhere between 1.5 and 2 months supply, which is pretty much what we've been averaging for about 5 years prior to COVID. And so as a result, it's a very, very strong indication at this particular moment. Looking at average prices, sure, the average list price is up to 728,000. That's because we're adding so many more properties that are above 700,000 into the marketplace. $1 million has become the new 500,000 in the greater Phoenix metro market. The market is really appreciated greatly. If you look at the average sale price to the right of the red boxes, you'll see that we ended the month at 512 as an average sales price for the month of November. A year prior to that, we averaged 419,000 in the month of November. Sliding your eyes way over to the right, you can see in October of 2020 we were at 428,000. So there's been a little bit of recovery from that to the next month, and the same thing from October into November. What are we anticipating moving forward? We'll have that 2020 forecast for you coming up right after the beginning of the year, possibly even right before the beginning of the year for everyone. But the market, just some real quick, market is supposed to remain consistent moving forward with the cooling off period and the price appreciations once again falling under double-digit numbers. So those are some very, very good, stable identification information here. Taking a look at the days on market, again, averaging 32 days last month versus 39 days a year before. And of course, the average list price to sale price retention was 99.8 last month, which again, being under 100% is a fantastic situation for us. It just means that we're not having all these homes that are commanding X numbers of dollars over and above the comp value. Comp values have caught up to what's actually happening in the marketplace today. I'm not saying people aren't paying more than list price in some areas, some homes, or they can or can't. Of course they can if they desire to, but the market isn't having that type of demand, and because we're not having it, we shouldn't be having to pay above comparable values moving forward this month. So those are the numbers for November, and for the week-over-week analysis, you can reach us in a number of different ways. If you'd like to hear us directly on your Alexa, you can say, go to your flash briefings and add West USA Realty Market Analysis. I change it every Tuesday. Instagram, television, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify. We try to be where you guys are listening. Weekly Monday webinar, which we do actually really every Monday at 9 o'clock. We do a webinar. You can hear the market statistics on there, or you can go to the YouTube page, West USA Realty, and get my entire playlist there. So thanks, everybody. I really appreciate you joining us today. If I can be of any service, don't hesitate to give me a call. Thanks. Take care. See you next week.